Find the derivative of g of x equals x times 1 minus x plus secant x, then evaluate g prime of pi over 6. G of x here is made up of the product of two functions, x times 1 minus x, and then added to another function plus secant x. One option is to use the product rule for the product of functions. Another option is to take the product directly. We can do that by distributing that x in, and that'll save us the trouble of using the product rule, which can make it more complicated. Distributing it in, we'll have x minus x squared plus secant of x. At this point, we have all of the terms combined by addition or subtraction. They therefore can be done separately and combine the results by addition or subtraction accordingly. So let's find our derivative g prime of x. The first term is a constant times x. 1 times x, the derivative will be the constant, which is a 1. The second term will be a power rule. We can bring the 2 down, multiply by the negative, so negative 2, x raised to the 2 minus 1, which is 1. The third term, derivative of secant of x, will be the secant of x tangent of x. There's our derivative. The next step is to evaluate g prime of pi over 6. That means to plug a pi over 6 in for each x. 1 minus 2 times pi over 6 plus the secant of pi over 6 times the tangent of pi over 6. That will give us 1 minus, we can call that 2 over 1. 2 times pi is 2 pi. 1 times 6 is 6. Plus the secant of pi over 6. The secant is 1 over the cosine of pi over 6. The cosine of pi over 6 is root 3 over 2. Times the tangent of pi over 6, which is the sine of pi over 6, 1/2, over the cosine of pi over 6, which is root 3 over 2. So that will give us 1 minus, in that second term I'm going to cancel the 2 and the 6 down. They have a common divisor of a 2, and then cancel down to be a minus pi over 3. Plus, and then each of these fractions and parentheses can be simplified by reciprocating the denominator multiplying by the numerator. So the first fraction will be 1 times 2 over root 3, which is just a 2 over root 3. The second fraction will be 1 over 2 times 2 over root 3. The 2's can cancel from the numerator and denominator. We will now have 1 minus pi over 3 plus 2 over root 3 times 1 over root 3. So that will give us 1 minus pi over 3 plus, multiply the numerators, 2 times 1 is a 2. Root 3 times the root 3 is a 3. We can combine all these terms together if we get a common denominator. Looks like it'll be a 3. We can rewrite that 1 as 3 over 3. And then we can combine all these over that common denominator. We will have 3 minus pi plus 2 all over 3. The 3 and the 2 can combine in the numerator. 3 plus 2 is a 5. 5 minus pi all over 3.